The countdown to kickoff is officially on. Let's do this thing. I am Gabriel Morency. Welcome to the closing line. We are 1 hour away from kickoff. It's a protest Sunday today in the National Football League, but I'm sure we'll get to that, and we'll talk about this from a football perspective. Is it a distraction at all for the teams that are more concerned with President Trump's comments after he called NFL players son of a bitches? And it's pretty hostile. Late-breaking news. The Pittsburgh Steelers en masse will not be on the field for the national anthem. They're not coming out. And they're not going to be the only team that are protesting today. And, I don't want to get into this from a social standpoint because we're here to make money right now. But from a betting standpoint, I got to imagine if a bunch of dudes are in a locker room talking about how they're going to protest, and the Buffalo Bills last night held a team meeting, and they didn't hold a team meeting to talk about how they're going to stop C.J. Anderson or Von Miller or Trevor Siemian. They held a team meeting about what an asshole they think Donald Trump is. To me, that's a motherfucking distraction. Let's bring in Donnie Rightside right now and get Donnie's take. What's up, Donnie?
Hey, what's good, man? Yeah, interesting day. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they're usually one of the more outspoken franchises. They take the knee, then get their ass kicked against Jacksonville over there. They still haven't gotten up for their knee. So if you're worried about, spending a lot of time on how you're going to protest, what you're going to do, I don't agree with the protest overall, but if you're going to do it, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are actually doing it the right way because I don't want to say you can't offend anybody, but you're not putting everybody on an individual status. You're keeping the whole team in the locker room, not who's standing, who's sitting, who has a hat on backwards, who has their fist raised. I actually really agree with the way Pittsburgh's doing it. I wish the NFL would just take every team and put them in the locker room, no distractions, come out after the anthem. Let's play football. We're here to play football.
That's a very good point, actually, that you raised, Donnie. There's some debate whether you take the anthems away. Listen, I have nothing against the anthem. I'm not anti-patriotic, but at the same point in time, you can make an argument anthems belong in international sporting events, right? And not so much, league sporting events. You raise a great point. Play the anthem, have both teams in the motherfucking locker room, and no one bitches, right? It's pretty nobody never comes up. But it is ridiculous. Somebody in the chat is saying, it's ridiculous. Protests don't affect odds. No, they don't affect odds, dude. They affect fucking clubhouses and locker rooms. As I just stated, do I need to speak slower? As I just stated, if a football team last night like the Buffalo Bills are holding team meetings about Donald Trump, they're not thinking about the Denver Broncos. I'll speak slower, I guess, for some people.
Yeah, just put it in layman's terms there for you, Gabe. It's like Odell Beckham Jr., worrying about his painted cleats the night before the game instead of, breaking down film or seeing what type of packages they're going to add in late. Every distraction is a distraction. How much is it playing the game? I don't think it's going to be that much, but you're right. Instead of focusing on what you're supposed to do, so how should we protest tomorrow? Let's call a team meeting. Let's get together in our, hotel rooms instead of relaxing, taking your mind off football. Now you're talking on something completely abstract to what you're trying to do. It'll be interesting to see what happens today. You're right about that, Gabe.
All right, so speaking of complete abstract, and I apologize. I know it's a little dark here. It's weird. It's fucking bright as hell out here. It's a sunny day. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get a lot of chances to get outside anymore.
You're like the secret handicapper over there, Gabe.
Yeah, I know. I swear to God. It wasn't my plan. I hate when I see people in the fucking dark, too. I'm trying to move it around and get more light here. I'll figure it out. Maybe we'll get more sky in here. We'll get more sky. But how about, holy fuck, how about the Baltimore Ravens getting punched in the mouth? 44-0 right now. And Doug Marrone, I'm glad because I took an in-game over 41.5 earlier in this football game. But Doug Marrone pulling a college antic and running a fake punt, man, when he's up 37-0. That's pretty low. That's Bush League stuff right there.
Yeah, no, it's funny, too, because you look at Baltimore. I mean, Harbaugh is Mr. Special Teams guy, so maybe it was an added jab at the head football coach. The one thing that's good for the NFL in this game, Gabe, is the 9:30 start. Most people couldn't even find it streaming, so good thing they put that out of the equation. I watched the first half. I was done with it by halftime, 44-0 with 9 minutes to go. Just put a running clock on that. Let's get to the real football games here.
All right, let's jump in as we're now less than an hour away. People are asking for props. I've got a lot of props, actually. I've got 8 props that we're ready to fire off. So let's jump in with some line checks and some numbers here. Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions. My position hasn't changed on this football game, Donnie. I like the Atlanta Falcons. Detroit's been a nice start for Detroit, but David Johnson got hurt in week 1. They would have lost that game if Johnson didn't get hurt. Week 2, they got an anemic New York Giant team that wouldn't be able to beat fucking Hawaii, let alone an NFL football team. And it's not like the Falcons are going to take the Lions lightly. The Lions are 2-0 right now. Falcons know they want to get home field advantage for the playoffs. Once again, it's a big football game for them. It's indoors. I know they're restoring the roar and they like to defend the den, but nevertheless, I got to rise up with the dirty bird here. Give me the Atlanta Falcons. Not to mention, too, big injury, guys. Remember, Gerard Davis left the game on Monday night, and you know, Donnie, how important this kid was, man. Already the leader on that defense. He was the captain of the Florida Gators defense. Great tackler, brought some toughness to that Lions defense that they really haven't had in past years, and he's going to miss this football game. That's a big loss when you're taking on a tough offense like the Falcons today. I like the Falcons.
Yeah, if you look at it, I don't have a decided side in this one, Gabe. I could see your point of view there with Atlanta. And the good thing about Atlanta, again, Gabe, we're going from dome to dome. Atlanta's built for a fast track. Detroit's a fast track, obviously being on turf inside. But you bring up a good point there with the middle linebacker being out. Ziggy Ansah's banged up. Vic Beasley is banged up on the opposite side. I think you're going to give two quarterbacks a little bit more extended time here. So I would actually lean towards going the over. I know it's not popular. I saw some steam coming in on the under this morning. But if you're looking at Chris or the Greek right now at 50 and 49.5, I actually, instead of taking the side, Gabe, would lean towards the over. I could see both of these quarterbacks gunslinging around there. There's no reason to believe that both these teams can't get into the high 20s in this one.
And I can't disagree with you on this as far as the total is concerned. I got a couple of props on this football game as well. I do like the over. If you like the Detroit Lions, it's probably going to be a close game. The Lions are a lot like the Chargers. They play in close football games, and there's certain football teams that are sort of born to be teased, okay? And the Detroit Lions and the San Diego Chargers, two football teams. Like today you get the Chargers plus 10, you get the Lions plus 10. I think that's a solid two-team teaser. Tease either side of the Falcons and the Lions to the over 43 on a 7-point teaser. But as far as props are concerned, I agree with Donnie Wright's side on this in that they're going to be gunslinging it around the park today. Quarterback props, guys. Matt Stafford's quarterback prop is 24.5. Now, he only completed 15 passes against the New York Giants because they were up, they were running the ball, he didn't have to. In week 1, in a 35-23 game, he completed 29 passes. I think we'll see similar type of numbers here. At 24.5 over Matt Stafford completions plus 100, you got to take it. And Matt Ryan is 23.5 completions, even money. With the completions because he goes deep a lot. So Matt Ryan can throw for 310 yards and only have 21 completions. But I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I like both quarterbacks to go over the completions. And I got a long field goal prop on this one, Donnie. It's 44.5. And, I praise Justin Tucker, but the Ravens offense is too fucking pathetic to let Tucker kick the ball anymore. But old man Bryant, man, the guy's 42 years old, Donnie, and the guy keeps getting better. I remember like 5 years ago, I thought Bryant was done. The guy's hit like 11 or 12 50-yard plus field goals. Prater's a good kicker. We got indoor conditions. We got a track meet. It's 44.5. I like the long field goal prop in this game, over 44.5. Both quarterbacks, completion props over. Atlanta Falcons to win and the game to go over. I'm fired up for that football game, and I'm standing up by this, Donnie. You and I both like the Indianapolis Colts last week. I like the Indianapolis Colts this week. They're going to beat the Cleveland Browns, buddy.
How about that? Yeah, and you know what, Gabe? Me and Jeff had joked around all week long on the right side of campus talking about this football game and how you're supposed to break it down. To me, you can't actually break the football game down if you're going to go to the simplest element in this one and you say, wait a second, Cleveland is favored, Cleveland is not home, Cleveland is on the road. It's hard just to take Cleveland on that notion alone. And again, you're not getting a veteran quarterback. Even let's just say if McCown was back there playing, at least you had a veteran quarterback that's been in that situation. Kaiser, again, is going to be on the road this one. Shaky, obviously, last week, getting the migraine, coming back. Is Indianapolis a good football team? No. But there's no way I'm taking the Cleveland Browns as a favorite on the road. I just can't do it.
You can't it's hard to take the Cleveland Browns as an underdog on the road. Last 20 road games, guys, the Cleveland Browns are 1-19. 1-19 straight up. I mean, you're talking about a team that's won once, essentially, in the last 3 years on the road. And for you guys to win this bet, they got to win the football game. And we always talk about this, Donnie. It's sort of like the old Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, when they said, why don't you throw the football? Because, 2 out of the 3 things that can happen are bad.
Bad.
And it's a similar situation when betting on football, isn't it, Donnie? You can win the game. You can cover the spread and lose the game. You're laying 1 on the road. There's no option, motherfuckers. You got to win the game. If you want to take the Cleveland Browns in this game, you got more money than I do. I'll tell you that much. But listen, last week, Jacoby Brissett played well. He has more time right now with the number one offense. The Colts have enough talent. They're going to get this shit done for Pagano today. They're not losing to the Cleveland Browns. DeShone Kizer struggles going back to Indiana. I like the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm betting it. And in fact, I have the Indianapolis Colts in a Las Vegas Super Hilton contest.
How about that? Yeah, that's putting support behind them there. I don't have too much of a feel in this game, but again, if I had to bet the game, it would be Indianapolis just because they're at home. Over under in this one, Gabe, sitting around that 42 area. I don't have a number on that alone, but I do see a little bit more of a high tempo game than it was last week versus Arizona. Kaiser's going to be able to run around. And again, they're two young quarterbacks. They're probably going to make some mistakes on the way, which will lead to points, but not a great feel in this one. But if I had to bet it again, Gabe, I would be on the Colts.
Well, we got the home team with the Colts getting a point. We got a better quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's a better quarterback than DeShone Kizer is at this point in time. I agree with your assessment. I think it's a higher scoring game as well. When we get bad teams to get together, normally it's a circus and stuff happens. Cleveland Browns -1, over under 42.5 right now. I jumped the gun a little bit, and I said the Denver Broncos. Here's a game that we have some line movement here, Donnie. Denver Broncos now up to -3 against the Buffalo Bills. Total is an even 40. I hear people making arguments for both teams in this football game.
Yeah, actually, Bolus coming back was a really big ingredient heading into this football game. The offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. Obviously, I did not like to see Cordy Glenn out. Marcel Darris is a great player, but Cordy Glenn is a tackle there. Going to have to be matched up against Von Miller in certain occasions. That's not going to go over too well. The one thing that's going to be tough for me, Gabe, is that Buffalo hasn't shown that much on offense. They showed a little bit against the Jets, didn't show much last week, but we talked about it earlier on Sports Rage with your show, I believe Wednesday, was coming into Buffalo. They still have a chance. They're still going to be excited for this football game. And again, they're getting points in this one. The one thing I was actually interested at, Gabe, looking at the line movement, I know it opened up at 2.5. Chris opened up at 1, but more or less settled at 3 most of the week. A lot of money, a lot of wagers coming in on Denver, Gabe, but they are hesitant to move it off of that 3 line to get it to 3.5, because then it would signal it's an automatic Buffalo Bill play for me in this situation. If I was going to take a play, it was going to be the Buffalo Bills. I agree in the position they're in. I agree getting 3 points. 3.5 would be just as sweet. I'm just worried about Tyrod Taylor, how he's going to come out in this one and play. But again, Simeon's going to be on the road for the first time this year. A little bit banged up, Demaryius Thomas. And we know the Buffalo plays well at home. I think they can keep this football game close. If I had to bet this game, I didn't bet it, but I would be leaning towards the Buffalo Bills on a contrarian play. Would have loved to see the 3.5, though, Gabe.
Well, it's at 3.5 in some spots right now. And, that's a difficult spot suddenly. Yeah. That does make a difference. Normally, I think it's an overreaction when people talk about half points here or there, but it's such a key number right now. Listen, I've watched every Buffalo Bill game since 1978, man. So I know this team inside out. I think they're in trouble today. It's a bad matchup. There's the old circle the wagons, leap of faith that the Buffalo Bills are going to be able to show up here, and they play better at home. Yeah, they're okay at home. They took care of business against the New York Jets barely. You mentioned it, Tyrod Taylor. His quarterback prop is 181.5 yards, Donnie. I think that's what the QB prop is in a fucking Army game. 181.5 yards. He can't throw the football. I just don't see how. For the Bills to win and cover this game, they need to play a perfect game. They need Trevor Siemian to turn the ball over like 2-3 times. And I don't think Trevor Siemian's going to fall apart. We're not talking about Scott Tolzien here. The Buffalo Bills do have the best run defense in the NFL. It's premature after 2 weeks only here. So that'll be an interesting situation to see how they do against C.J. Anderson. But, you've got that secondary of Talib and Harris. I don't see how Zay Jones and Jordan Matthews are going to get open. Can the Buffalo Bills run the football on the Broncos? I think it's a lower scoring football game. Yeah, if I have to call the final score here, I'm going to say like 20-13 Denver. I think Denver covered a 3.5 still, but that hook does scare me at 3.5, Donnie.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are going to play a little bit closer to the vest. I would agree in your assessment, Gabe, there on the over. So if we're looking at, on the under, opened up at 41, sitting about 40. I don't see that many big plays in this football game. Again, Demaryius Thomas might not be able to hit that extra jet with the hamstring injury. Sanders is a very good, complementary type wide receiver. Simeon's going to be playing this close to the vest. They're going to try to run the football. And yeah, we've seen Buffalo's offense, Gabe. This isn't, the greatest show on turf back in the 99 Rams. I mean, they're going to take it methodical. The way they win this football game is probably Tyrod Taylor scrambling to make a couple plays, a heavy dose of LaShawn McCoy, and just trying to move the football, maybe get that bounce or two to get some turnovers. I agree with you in that. This game is going to be played probably the winner getting 24 or less points in this football game. So if I had to take a play in this wager here, I'm going to lean towards under 40 at Chris in this one, Gabe.
You know what's funny, Donnie? We all said the same thing about Thursday night's football game. Well, there shouldn't be a lot of not going to be a lot of plays in this San Francisco on this Rams game. Same thing, UFC the other night. This is a terrible card. I don't know, a stupid card in Japan. You know, fast forward to it's the bloodiest card ever. It was fucking crazy knockouts, crazy finishes. It's always the boring games that, you know, turn into to the exciting ones. You never know. Yeah. But I just have a hard time. I have a hard time trusting the Buffalo Bills in this spot. I really do. Now, I talk about these long field goal props, guys, over the number. And here's one. Very, very low. You're never going to see one this low. It's 41.5 in Buffalo today. The long field goal prop. Now, I told you guys I like the long field goal prop of 44.5. Now, there's only 2 long field goal props I like in the early games, guys. And it's in the Atlanta-Detroit game, you know, track meet game, indoors. Bryant's been a motherfucking killer with the field goals. Prater is great for 53 in type of deal. So now you got Buffalo and Denver. It's 41.5. So what do you think, Donnie? You're like, well, what is it? You know, old rainy, dreary day up there in Western New York? No.
Wind, yeah, exactly.
No. Perfect. 76 degrees and 6-mile-an-hour winds. Perfect football conditions. Dude, I'm like fucking an hour and a half from Buffalo, Donnie. Look at the weather behind me. I'm sweating like a motherfucker. It's hot as fuck out here. Perfect conditions. I don't understand why it's only 41.5, this long field goal prop. Maybe I'm a sucker for walking into this trap, but I got to take this. Give me the long field goal prop over 41.5 yards in that Bronco Bills game.
Yeah, McManus has a big leg as well. And it also, Gabe, we're looking at supposedly 2 really good defenses and points to be a premium. The over prop in that you're talking about in the Detroit game, they're going to have a lot of opportunities to hit that, which means they're going to be driving it down. You actually want the drives to stall in that one because the offenses are so potent, they can go up and down the field. This one's interesting because I can see a lot of those, you know, head coaching moves, Gabe, from the 37-yard in to the 30-yard line saying, you know what? Points are at a premium here. Let's not turn the football over. Let's lean on a field goal if we need to get one. I like where you're going with that. 41 doesn't seem like much. I mean, you cross 25-yard line or out, and you're going to get that. They'll probably be in there multiple times with their drive stalled right in that area. Yes. Great
call. Great by bringing that up. 25-yard line plus 17 gets you to the 42. Yeah. And man, McDermott last week kicked a field goal when he needed a touchdown late. And then it was the rah, let's get the ball back. It helped us get the Bills cover. But you're right. They take 3 points any way they can get it when you have that offense. Yeah. And as you stated, McManus has got a booming leg as well. Okay, Houston Texans are now getting 13.5 points. The over-under is 44 in this football game, Donnie.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you break this football game down, obviously New England's going to come into this game, you know, righted the ship, so to speak, last week versus the New Orleans Saints on offense. Houston is a better defense, but a very banged-up defense coming into this one. The one disheartening thing that I was looking at from the Houston perspective is Deshaun Watson at quarterback. The eyes drop immediately once a pass rush gets down there. Bill Belichick's going to scheme against his best wide receiver in Hopkins to try to take him out of protocol here. In the NFL, I don't like to lay anything more than double digits. I mean, if you're at home, I can see the point. I think Houston's going to be game in this one. But just looking at it from a betting perspective itself, Bill Belichick's going to be ready for a young rookie quarterback. And I know there's stats fine out there. Well, you know, the Patriots only 10-8 versus rookie quarterbacks against the spread, 14-4. But if you're gambling, Gabe, and you go 10-8, I'll take that every single time with straight juice. So if I'm betting this game, I'm looking at New England and New England only, just because the fact is, Gabe, I don't know if Houston can get over 17.5 points in this game to try to even compete with New England.
You know, Donnie, I'm a degenerate. I was up all late night Friday night betting on the Filipino Cup basketball, PBA basketball. So I'm not kidding either. One of these shows one day I'll read out my list of plays to show you guys what I played. You laugh your ass off with some of the stupid shit I do at 5 a.m. But long story short, even I'm not playing this game, Donnie. I'm betting Filipino basketball, and I'm not betting his Patriots-Texan game. I don't want to lay the points. I don't trust O'Brien. Part of me believes that Deshaun Watson can scramble a little bit and run around and eat some clock up. Part of me believes that New England's so banged up right now, and we'll try to get you status with Chris Hogan, but even Hogan's banged up right now. Part of me believes that they're so banged up, they'll just sort of get in and out with a 7 to 10-point victory. But as you stated, that Houston offense is going to be pretty challenged up there in Foxborough. To me, it's a pass, Donnie. We don't have to bet on every game, right? I don't have an opinion on this one. I'm not betting it.
No. I mean, again, it's 13.5. I wouldn't like it if it was 14.5. Then you just take a flyer on Houston in this situation. But I don't think it's a very good spot for Houston coming in with a rookie quarterback up to Foxborough. I would agree. Even looking at the total, Gabe, over under sitting 44.5 at Chris, 45 at Sportsbook. I don't even have a good feel in that football game because I can see very easily, New England stretching it and getting the 35 points. But I could also see New England going at 24 points and saying, you know what, Houston can't really move the football. Let's just not get banged up and injured here. Let's run this clock out and get out of here.
Yeah, like would a 24-13 final score surprise you in this game?
No, it would not, because I know Houston's not going to be running up and down the football field in this with a rookie quarterback, so I agree with you.
Let's say 24-13 or even 27-6 wouldn't surprise me. It's one of these deals where I just, I don't have other time. I'm not saying I'm always going to be right, but at least I have a fucking feel. I mean, I got no feel for this one. I don't want any part of it. And I'm going to have enough action going on the other games, including this one. And anyone that's watched me and knows me knows I don't care about what people think or what people say. And I see everyone's an expert in the chat, Donnie, right? Everyone knows what's going to happen before the games. I like that. Oh, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Huh? That's why there's sportsbooks, motherfuckers. If you got an opinion, click on a sportsbook at sportsbookreview.com and fucking bet it instead of telling me that our picks are no good. All right, so the Dolphins and the Jets. I don't trust the Dolphins here. And last week, you and I both liked the Dolphins. I thought it was a bad spot for the Chargers last week, and it was a good spot for the Dolphins last week. I don't think it's a good spot for the Dolphins this week. And even though the Jets are 0-2 against the spread, the Jets and the Dolphins have played some pretty crazy competitive football games over the years. I think the Dolphins take the field knowing that, or the Jets take the field knowing they can compete. And Jay Cutler, you can take Jay Cutler as an underdog. But I tell you what, Jay Cutler is a money burner. He's the worst starting quarterback against the spread in the league. But I think on the road, Cutler's like 22-39 against the spread in his career. And when you break that down, is Cutler as a favorite? It's not an obvious pick. I think the Jets can give him all they can handle. I really do.
Yeah, I think they can hang around in this football game. Yeah. No, I mean, that's his MO. And again, he's on the road. Yeah,
turnovers, fumble here, there. Just, I'm not saying that Cutler's going to, throw 4 interceptions or anything. But even last week, he played pretty well. And he seems to be happy with Gase. Cutler seems to be more, he's smiling. He's getting along with his teammates, etc. But even last week, guys, he did a couple of stupid shovel passes. He throws the ball into tight coverage. He's still Jay Cutler. He's not going to change his habits, even if he's happier psychologically right now. So I think Cutler's prone. To me, I see Miami winning by 3. I'm not saying I'm going to put $2,000 on the Jets, but I wouldn't take the Dolphins. I think the Jets are a live home dog here.
Yeah, I actually took a small wager on 5 dimes. I talked about it earlier this week. I didn't give it out as like a premium. You have to hammer this, but I do like the angle here. I took the New York Jets plus 3.5 at 5 dimes. Bought it up a little bit. The true line is actually 3, like plus 105. But I took the 3.5. I like the way the Jets played in the first 2 weeks in the first half because when you have a younger team and they're still, again, they're not 0-9 yet, so it's not all doldrums where the season's over. They're still feeling good. It's going to be the home opener in this one, so they're going to come out and want to at least try to put out a good effort, mainly through the first half. They're not nearly as talented as the Miami Dolphins. I think we can both agree on that. But the previous 2 weeks, outside of a fumble and the 5-yard line under a minute to go, the Jets were hanging around the Oakland Raiders. Before that with the Buffalo Bills, they played and hung around in the first half. I think they can hang around again, whether or not you can stretch that full game, because I think the disparity in your talent, your quarterback ability, your running backs, your wide receivers aren't as good and might not hold up. Although I do agree with you, if I was betting the full game, I still would lean the New York Jets. But I like them in the first half. Just keep it close. You don't have to be winning. Just keep it within a field goal in this one. I think they can do that. I would lean on that play here, Gabe.
All right, I've got another live dog, and I like this one better than I like the Jets. And I'm talking about the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints rolling in to Carolina. There's a lot of talk about the Saints. Oh, they're 0-2 right now, and Carolina's 2-0. Listen, I watched the Carolina game in its entirety last week because I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. Carolina's offense is very pedestrian, and I'm being kind here. I'm being very kind when I use the word pedestrian. They're terrible. Cam Newton's nowhere near to 100%. They still can't protect him. I know the New Orleans Saints defense isn't as good as the Buffalo Bills defense is, but McCaffrey's finding out that people are fast in the NFL. You're not playing in the Pac-12 anymore. They don't have Greg Olsen, which has been his guy, Cam Newton's guy his entire career. To me, there's just there's a lot of negatives against the Carolina. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown last week, and now you're asking them to win by a touchdown. It's down to 5 right now. And as far as the Saints are concerned, I really don't like the fact they don't have Willie Snead. Snead really is a big impact for them. But as far as the Saints, Donnie, if the Saints would have played the first game of the year at San Francisco, they would have won. And if the Saints would have played at home last week in the Superdome against the Bills, they would have won. Yep. So if the Saints would have played the Panthers' schedule, they'd fucking be 2-0 right now. If the Carolina Panthers opened up on Monday Night Football with a healthy Bradford against Minnesota, they lose that game. If they played the Patriots last week, they lose that game. So I don't think the 2-0 versus 0-2 means jack shit. And then on top of that, the last 3 times these two teams have played, it's always a 3-point game. The fourth game they played was a 5-point game. The last 4 times that these two teams have played, it's been decided by a mass total of 14 points. I think we have another close football game, and I think we got a live dog with the New Orleans Saints, Donnie.
Yeah, Gabe, look at Carolina overall. I mean, you're right about that. And keep in mind, the quarterback is an important player on the football field. He's banged up. But the other quarterback of the offense, Gabe, is your center. Khalil's going to miss this football game. That's enormous. What I think Carolina's going to want to do is when you look at the New Orleans Saints, usually a softer defense. They're going to want to try to pound the football. They want to get McCaffrey finally underway. They want to get Stewart off the ground because you have to compensate that Greg Olson's not there. Cam Newton's favorite outlet. You also have 2 wide receivers, big wide receivers, Funchess and Benjamin. Can they have big days? Yes, but they're not wide receivers, Gabe, that you lean on each and every week. I mean, it's not Julio Jones, A.J. Green. Just go out there and make some plays for them. You can get a big game anytime. That's not the type of offense they have. And I'm struggling actually looking at this game with the over-under earlier in the week. I mean, it opened up at 49, and now it's down to 46.5. Because automatically you think when these two football teams play, Cam Newton's going to get off, New Orleans is going to get off. But looking at this game as a whole, I'm actually leaning more towards the under in this situation. I think more of a dink and dunk offensive approach for New Orleans is going to take place. It's going to try to run the football. It's a very good front seven from the Carolina Panthers. Not so much a good secondary. So I think they're going to play a little bit more of a ball control. Not a lot of big plays in this one. But you're right. It all comes down to Cam Newton. When Cam Newton gets right, they're going to be a decent offensive football team. But until I see it, I just can't bet on it. And from any market indications there, Gabe, that you're looking at opening up anywhere between 6 to 6.5, I mean, you're getting now 5s almost across the board. So that money is real coming in on the road team, New Orleans Saints. And you're right, Gabe. Love the point you bring up. Jeff and I talked about it this week. Looking at New Orleans, going into Minnesota, tough place to play. They lost. Nobody's going to blame them from that one. Coming home, playing the Patriots, losing that one. Nobody's going to blame them for that one. I love the angle you bring up on the flip side with the Carolina Panthers as well with their schedule. So I think you're actually getting a little bit more value in the number where you're saying, hey, Drew Brees, just keep me close in this one.
Yeah, it's funny. And, I'm in the fantasy world. And, even a lot of the fantasy guys are aware they're staying away from this football game for fantasy purposes. Let's look at the scores the last time they played. Last year, guys, 23-20 in Carolina. That's what I'm looking at here today, Donnie. Similar style football game, in my opinion. 23-20.
Yep.
Yeah, 23-20 last year. Okay, they did play a 41-38 last year in the Dome. Yep. They played another 41-38, and they played a 27-22. So they've sort of been in there. But last time they played 23-20, I'm looking at the same style of football game. You know me, Donnie. Overs are like strippers, all right? I've never met one I didn't like before, okay? And I'm not taking the over on this one. I'm like Pete Rose, guys. If I'm not betting the over, it means, it's not a great over. Like there's something off about it. So, I'm a little bit I'd be a little careful about this one going over the number as well. And it's funny because I think the Saints, too. Fact is, Donnie, the Saints offense isn't as potent. Willie Snead not being there is a big deal. Willie Snead's a 90-catch-a-year type of guy. Brandon Cooks isn't there anymore. Michael Thomas is a kid, He's only in his second year. He's not used to being double-teamed. Last year, Michael Thomas is great, and they're like, oh, this kid's so good, we'll just make him our number one guy, and we'll get rid of Cooks. Yeah, but now Thomas is getting double teams. He's got like 9 catches on the year, but he really hasn't had any impact on the football games yet. And I think the fact that because Willie Snead's not there. Brandon Coleman is not Willie Snead. Ted Ginn Jr. is a good gadget guy, but he's not a great wide receiver per se. I'm not saying Willie Snead's a Pro Bowler, but he really complements that offense. And we're seeing the offense struggling a little bit. And like you said, I think Carolina really wants to run the football. Carolina's thinking, we don't want to get into a track meet with Drew Brees. They're going to try to play smash mouth, run the ball down the Saints' throats. And then conversely, the Saints are running the ball as well more than ever, and they're giving it to Kamara more than anyone, which is Ingram and Peterson. They're kind of out. Peyton really likes Kamara. Kamara's been getting touches, the kid out of Tennessee.
No, you're right. I mean, I could see all your prospects on this one. If Gabe, put it this way, if you had to bet this football game, which way would you lean on that total right now?
If I had to take it, I'm taking the under. It's a contrarian, but I'm going under.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Ooh, Donnie, your team here. We're coming up next. Coming up next, the New York Giants down to 5. So somebody's betting on Big Blue. Is this just a bunch of dudes right now in Brooklyn hammering the Giants, or is this smart line movement? This is another football game that I'll let you take the table here, Donnie, because I don't have a strong opinion on the side. If I had to bet this one, I think we can get to over 43, though. But tell us about the Eagles' dominance over the years against the Giants, and that Giant O-line is pretty bad, man. What's your take, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, no team has given Eli Manning more fits over the years. No team has intercepted Eli Manning more over the years. No team has beaten Eli Manning more over the years than the Philadelphia Eagles. You bring up a funny point there. Which one of the Goombas are betting here? Is it the South Philly Tony or is it the Brooklyn Tony that are actually putting more money in this one?
It's the Goomba Bowl. Yeah, like
exactly. Yeah, I mean, hey, man, when the 5 families get together, there's going to be a lot of argument going over on this one. If you look at this game overall, over the summer, I called it all along. The Eagles are a supreme mismatch for the New York Giants in this football game, and they are. The main key matchup is going to be the Eagles front 7 versus the Giants O-line. It's not a great matchup for the New York Giants if you watch the previous 2 weeks. Now, having said that, the one thing that makes you a little bit leery is why this game and the Giants can hang on a little bit more than I thought they would have about 2 weeks ago is you're down Darby, you're down Watkins, you're down McLeod. You have Chris Maragos, who is a special teamer, is going to get the start at safety. And then, Gabe, under the Chip Kelly era when they were banged up at safety, he's off the screen, Gabe. You get a nice wide screen. Typically, he's off the screen. That's how much you have to overcompensate him for him. Odell Beckham Jr. slightly more healthy in this one. Brandon Marsh hasn't shown me much, but you're still going to have to pay attention to him. You don't have lights-out cornerback situation. Now you don't even have your tandem that can make up for it. Malcolm Jenkins, fantastic safety. Rodney McLeod, very good safety. He's out of this one. And again, Corey Graham's out of this one. The backup to McLeod, he's not playing here. Jalen Watkins is out, who's been a key contributor early on in the football season. So you have a secondary that's a little bit down. Now, if the Giants somehow can pick up the blitz, can pick up that front 4 there, Gabe, they're going to have a little bit of success throwing the football downfield because Evan Ingram, as much as I don't like him, he's fast. And the Eagles actually have very good and fleet-of-feet linebackers, if you will. They should be able to handle him. But there's going to be 3 wide receivers out there, if you include Sterling Shepard, that could give that secondary problems. I'm still anticipating an Eagles victory in this one. But if it was 2 weeks ago, Gabe, and we had McLeod playing this football game and Darby and Watkins and Corey Graham ready to go, it would be an annihilation because the Giants wouldn't have that extra second or two to get open. They would be covered. Now they're going to be a little bit more open, if that even makes sense, as they were a couple weeks ago without the injuries. If I had to put a bet on this football game, I would bet the Eagles -5 here. I still think the Eagles win by a touchdown plus, but I'm not as excited as I was about a week and a half ago before these injuries here, Gabe.
All right, man. This is the Philadelphia Eagles home opener, isn't it?
Home opener today. Yeah, by the way, this is the first Eagles-Giants game that I'm not attending in 21 years. To be with you, Gabe, and all these listeners, man.
You know what's crazy? You should have went to the game. Big man on campus could have stepped up for you. You know what's fucked up, too? Because when I was talking with Zach from SBR, and shout out to Zach and the great guys at SBR, support SBR by going over to sportsbookreview.com and clicking the books. But when I spoke to him, he's talking, because we were talking about doing a late-night show, and I said, he goes, how do you feel about Sunday morning shows and stuff? And I was like, yeah, that's good. But I was like, man, I was planning on going to a Buffalo Bill game or 2, or maybe a game in LA or something this year. And he's like, oh, no problem. Donnie's probably going to go to an Eagle game. Maybe we'll do something, you guys hook up from parking lots, tailgate or whatever. And I was thinking about it. It hit me last night. I was like, fuck, I was supposed to go to this Bills-Broncos game. And then somebody last night was telling me, well, what's stopping you? Let's go to the game. I had a buddy of mine.
Yeah, I'd say the Sunday ones I gave up, but I'll still be good. The Eagles games. I mean, there's one on Christmas. There's one also Monday Night Football against the Redskins. I'll be in, but the Giants is my favorite game every single year, and it's always fun because we always beat the Giants, and it's a great game. You have Giants fans show up, and they just get beat down. They got to go back to New York City or wherever they go. It's a lot of fun at this game. But hey, I can't be more happy. I mean, this is the life that we have, and we talk football, baby.
All right, so the Eagles are 7-12 straight up and 7-11 against the spread in home openers, including 3-0 straight up and 2-0 against the spread following an away game. That was something I brought up actually earlier in the week, that they lose when they It feels like the season's been going on forever. It's just, wow, they're playing at home for the first time. But, yeah, to me, I don't know. We were talking about this with the Saints, and I'm going to get to this with the Bengals. I like betting on desperate teams, Donnie. And I also like betting on, teams. People, idiots, dumb people remember only last week. And we're not betting on what happened last week. We're betting on what's going to happen this week. So I don't give a shit when people say, did you see what they did last week and how bad this was and how bad that was? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, when copying a game, you got to be aware of history. But at the same point in time, teams play differently on a week. The biorhythms of the body is different on a week-by-week basis. Giants are a desperate team. Saints are a desperate team. I think the Giants' offense does play better. How can I not bet a New York-Philadelphia Eagle game? I'm going to go with the over. And I swear, if I had to take it, I think the Giants cover the number. I'm not betting the Giants, but if I had to take it, I think the Giants cover the number. But give me over 43 in this one, Donnie.
Yeah, it's a decent number now that you're looking at the 6.5s that were showing up. I wasn't really feeling that. Obviously, with the new extra point, you can very easily see, somebody having to go for 2 or somebody missing an extra point. Damn near happens, a few times every single week. But at the 5, I would feel confident enough to take the Philadelphia Eagles at 5 in this one. And again, I love this game way more over the summer than I do right now. But don't get it construed. I still think the Eagles are going to win this football game because when it all breaks down to the element, do the Giants have a very good defense? Yes. Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback, can escape the pocket. Eli Manning can't do it. The one thing over the years Eli does with the Philadelphia Eagles, number 1, he fumbles the football when he gets sacked. And number 2, he always throws interceptions to the Philadelphia Eagles when he's under pressure, especially in Philadelphia. You saw it last year. They played. He threw a pick 6 right out of the gate. I expect the same today. I actually have Eli probably getting about 2 interceptions and putting 1 fumble on the ground that the Eagles will recover. He'll be under siege all day long. And that's not a good thing for an aging quarterback who doesn't take care of the football.
Donnie, right side throwing it down. We'll get Donnie's top three selections. We'll blast through our picks as well. I got 8 props for you, 8 or 9 props. I'll recap them. I spit out a few already, and I've already clicked the props. I think we're going to do well. We hit the long field goal already earlier today in the Baltimore game. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears. We talked about this a little bit. We didn't get into the football aspect of this. We talked about the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be protesting en masse. They're not coming out for the national anthem. I don't know. It's just going to be a fucking hostile atmosphere there after all this shit, man. So Pittsburgh's laying 7 here. I don't like this game, Donnie. I got to be honest with you. This is one that I don't trust the Bears and I don't trust the Steelers. If I had to take it, I would take the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, I would generally agree with you there, and it's key on that 7 because I think most of the week, Gabe, we had 7.5s and 8s. 7 is a much more manageable number. Bet Online doubled you showing 6.5, so throw that one out the window. It looks like it's going to close right around that 7. I actually was leaning over 43.5 early in the week in this one, just because I think Pittsburgh is going to be able to have much more. I mean, they played Minnesota last week, a very good defense. Opening day, they're at Cleveland. We all know that Big Ben struggles a little bit on the road, which will be on the road again here. But I don't think the Bears defense presents as much difficulty to go against. Le'Veon Bell, after missing all of training camps, got 2 games under his belt. I think he'll be better today. I can see points because last week, Glennon threw for over 300 yards versus Tampa Bay. So I think, obviously, if Pittsburgh's going to be up in this game, there's not much of a running game for Chicago. And Glennon means to me interceptions, and maybe he can cross over that 275 mark. Pittsburgh's been very good defensively here. But if you're asking me to take a play in this game, I don't like the side because I don't want to lay 7 on the road. I'm not a big fan of the Chicago Bears here. I would lean on over 43.5. I can see, honestly, Pittsburgh getting, 28 to 31 points and then just having Chicago throw that entire fourth quarter, which means interceptions or yards and touchdowns. I'll take the over in this one, Gabe.
Yeah, I can't disagree with your assessment there. I actually think that Le'Veon Bell gets on track a little bit here, but his rushing prop is 90.5 yards, which that's pretty high, 90.5. But I do think Pittsburgh's offense gets on track a little bit. But are they going to get to the 30s? I don't know. Is this going to be a game like I could see this game being a game like Week 1 in Cleveland is, 21-10, 23-10. The thing is, that back door is going to be swinging wide open all night, Donnie. Somebody didn't lock the door, and the wind's blowing. The back door cover could be there for the Bears, but Mike Glennon is terrible. And we saw that last week. People bought into how the Bears played in Week 1 against the Falcons. I did not. And you and I both liked the Bucs last week.
Yeah.
I don't like this game. We got a ton of picks, guys, on all the other games. So I'm not betting this game. Slight lean to the over with Donnie, though. I can't disagree on your total assessment.
No. I mean, if I had to pick one side, I'm not laying that number. I'm not a big fan of the Bears. I can see maybe, Pittsburgh turning over Glennon. And again, they're not going to stop throwing in the football game because I would find it hard to believe, Gabe, that this is like a 14-10 game heading in late third quarter. I think Pittsburgh will be in control, trying to hold them at arm's length throughout the whole game, which is going to force Chicago to open up their passing game.
All right, let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Dear God, here's another game. You know what? I'm showing a lot of discipline today, Donnie. I'm like you. Me and Big Man on campus, we're betting on fucking everything. Big Man's like, hey, what do you think? Second half over, in-game over again, want to double up? You're a little bit more disciplined, but I'm showing discipline here too. I can't touch this football game. Case Keenum's terrible. Like, he's Scott Tolzien bad, essentially. And this is my one concern with the Minnesota Vikings coming into the year. I thought the Vikings were a playoff caliber football team, but they don't have a playoff caliber backup quarterback. And you have a fragile quarterback in Sam Bradford. And, Bradford, you were rehabbing your reputation of being soft and overpaid by playing good football. And now here you are, unable to motherfucking play right now. And who knows how long this is going to stretch into. It's a real shame for the Minnesota Vikings because Case Keenum's terrible, but I blame the Vikings GM for not settling this. So you got Tampa Bay going in here. What do you make of this one, Donnie? Who do you like if you got an opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to lean on Minnesota in this game, and I'm going to make a case for it here. I got a really good number. As soon as the line opened up, Jeff talked about it. We went back and forth. We had Matt Holt on there what the line would open up with if Case Keenum was the starter. The reason I like Minnesota is they're a very good defensive football team. They're a very good home team. I watched that Steelers game multiple times last week, and Case Keenum actually wasn't the issue. Wasn't throwing bad balls. If you look from the opposite end, Pittsburgh had a couple really big penalty plays in that game to force them ahead, and Case Keenum's not going to come back against a pretty good defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road to beat them. Once they got down by that much, they were pretty much a wrap. I think they're going to lean on a lot of Dalvin Cook in this one. Brent Grimes out as a major injury in this one. McCoy's ankle, defensive tackle, a little bit banged up. Jock Smith's out. Quan Alexander, the middle linebacker starter, he's out. Chris Baker is also out on that defensive line. And again, I'm not a big Case Keenum guy by any chance, but I just think at home, and last week, if you looked at that Chicago Bears game, the Bears moved the ball at will up and down the field versus Tampa. They just kept turning the football over and couldn't make anything happen in the red zone because late in the game when you're down 2 touchdowns, you're not kicking field goals anymore. You're trying to get in the end zone, which they couldn't do. I think Case Keenum's going to be able to do just enough with those wide receivers and lean on Dalvin Cook in this one. I got +3 at -130. I actually bought it earlier this morning, up from the 2.5. You're getting anywhere between -1 to a pick 'em in this situation, but I wasn't going to leave this game. I'm going to take the home dog at the 3. I paid a lot of juice for it early, which isn't going to be around now, but I actually think Minnesota's going to hang around in this football game. I don't see Tampa Bay being able to run away, but I just think that whole week of being a starter for Case Keenum, leaning on that loud home crowd in the Dome, which Tampa Bay is not used to, playing up there. I mean, obviously they play at home in Raymond James. It's on grass. This is going to be a turf environment. I think Dalvin Cook has a big day to keep this one close, and a lot of injuries on Tampa Bay helping out Minnesota here.
I got to tell you, Donnie, this is a very, very big football game for both these football teams. Yeah. Neither team's probably going to win their division. They could potentially, right? But you could make that argument with Sam Bradford. So my point is, if they're going to be in the playoffs, they're going to do the wild card. They're going to have to go through the wild card. So therefore, then it becomes a tiebreaker. Big football game, man. 1 and 2 is a difficult hole. You want to be a wild card team, climb out of this. If you're Minnesota, you're 1 and 2 with Case Keenum. You got big problems. And Tampa's always that trendy team every year. People are waiting for Tampa to take that next step. If Tampa is going to take that next step, this is a game that they win. And I hate doing this because I'm a big Zimmer guy, and Zimmer's an ATM machine. The guy's one of the best coaches, not the best coach in the NFL against the spread. But I got to disagree. I think Tampa wins the game. I'm passing on this one. I might tease Tampa.
I can see it.
I'm going to tease Tampa, man.
See it there. I mean, we've talked about it all summer long. We're high. I mean, I'm high on Tampa Bay. I have over the team total for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're a really good football team. If you take everything out of the equation and Sam Bradford starts, you're probably looking at somewhere around, a 3.5 or a 4-point line with Minnesota being the favorite today. I'm just taking the value completely the other way. And I don't have it at a pick 'em or just needing Tampa Bay to win. I actually have it at the +3, which is why I really liked it opening up as that, you saw it during the week when it reopened, +1.5, +2. It was 2.5 late. I was actually hoping I could just get 3 as a regular number, but that one never showed, so I just bought it a little bit higher to get some protection at home. And it's a true contrarian play here for me, Gabe. I mean, just looking at it overall, I think Minnesota's going to circle it up, play well enough on defense because they have a very good defense and a healthy defense, and lean on Dalvin Cook on the turf, and we'll see what happens here.
I'll tell you what, Donnie, I can't help but think of Ozzy Osbourne right now. It's an old school song, Diary of a Madman. Diary of a Madman. I'm a madman. I'm clicking away right now. I feel like a mad scientist. As we're talking about this, I jumped in. So I did the live teaser here, guys. This is the beautiful thing about the live show. We're sharing our bets with you. I just placed it right now because you could be right. Minnesota could win this football game, but I don't think they're going to win this football game by 9 points. And give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers +8 and the Seattle Seahawks +9. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers +8. So I got to show some patience here, which I'm not very good at doing. I don't usually do these 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock games, but I did it here. I like the both things. I think it's a nice combination. If Minnesota wins, it's going to be a low-scoring, smash-mouth 17-16 game. Okay? I don't think Minnesota's going to beat the crap out of Tampa Bay. And, in fact, I think Tampa Bay's going to beat them. I think Tampa's going to beat them. So give me I got +8 right now with Tampa, which leads us into Seattle and Tennessee. And this is a tough one. Desperate team. Their offenses look terrible. But to me, you got Pete Carroll versus Mike Mularkey. And like I said earlier in the week, this is like having motherfucking Pavarotti take on Justin Bieber in a sing-off. You have one of the worst coaches in the history of the NFL against one of the best coaches in the history of the NFL with Pete Carroll versus Mike Mularkey. It's hard for me to buy into the Titans as favorites here. I like the Seahawks. I liked it better at 3. But, I like this teaser with the Seahawks +9. What's your feeling on this game? As right now, it's 42. Total's 42.
Boy, I like this game a lot more early in the week than I do today, and I can see the value actually on Seattle. I don't like Seattle betting them away because typically, Gabe, they're I don't want to say America's team in the way the Cowboys are, but anytime you ever hear like, oh my God, Seattle's getting points on the road, it's almost like people automatically jump on it the same way they did versus the Green Bay Packers. But the Packers are a little bit different here. I mean, you're looking at playing at Lambeau Field versus one of the best quarterbacks in the game. DeMarco Murray's a little bit banged up. I know Henry's a very, very capable backup. One of the wide receivers, Davis, going to be out for the Tennessee Titans in this. I think it's a statement game for the Titans, but the more I look at it here is, healthy Seattle defense coming in. They're going to make Tennessee get every single yard. They're not going to give up anything. Russell Wilson's going to make just enough plays. I was all over Tennessee, Gabe, when I started breaking this football game down. I really like the spot they're in. The more I look at it here, I just see a lower scoring type of game. I don't see, Gabe, if they play this football game, I don't see Tennessee walking away and just blowing the doors off of the Seattle Seahawks. But I can see the Seahawks hanging around this football game, making a couple plays in the secondary, intercepting Mariota, keeping the football on the ground. So, you're not going to expose Russell Wilson that much. He's going to make enough plays. At 2 or 2.5, I don't know if I liked it so much early in the week. If you could have grabbed it when it was peaking somewhere around 3, I would agree with that more. But I'm staying completely away from this game, even though I had a great lean on taking the Tennessee Titans. I'm high on the Titans, but for some reason, this spot, I'm just not feeling them today, Gabe.
We all know that Seattle always start off slow, and then they sort of flick that switch, and they start to turn it up a notch. But normally they do that around Halloween, into November, into December. I think they've been embarrassed, though. They were humiliated on the road in week 1 against Green Bay. Last week was pretty pathetic. They were lucky to get that win. I think this is the week Seattle sort of shows up. I think the offense gets on track only due to necessity. And it's funny, Donnie, because you're right. This game could be an ugly, low-scoring game, or it could open up, actually. It could open up as well.
I think Russell Wilson can make enough plays here. Yeah.
Russell Wilson, so I'm getting into some numbers here. Russell Wilson, guys, is 13-3-1 in his career as an underdog. Okay, the guy is a motherfucking ATM machine when getting points on the road. Although he also, I should note, he didn't cover on the road in week 1. Pete Carroll, 13-2-2 against the spread last 17 games as an underdog if he won in the game before. We can go on and on. Tennessee Titans 4-17 straight up, 3-18 against the spread in games following a straight up win. They don't go back to back. They don't cover much. This is a push comes to shove game as well. And I think Seattle, because they play in a shitty division, it's not as important to them this game. Seattle can lose this game, be 1-2, and still win their crap ass division. I think this is a test game for Tennessee. Tennessee failed the test against the Raiders. Yeah, you beat the Jags last week, but can you beat the Seattle Seahawks? And I'm not so sure they can. I don't trust Marcus Mariota enough. I think Seattle's defense will make enough plays. Statement game for the Seattle Seahawks. Give me the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep. Normally, Gabe, I would go right against you and be contrarian on Tennessee in this one. Only 35%. They're at home. They're only laying a small number in this one. But for some reason, it keeps pulling me back. I just think, again, the same wavelength you are. If this game, let's just say 17-17, 21-17 or close in the fourth quarter, and Seattle has the football, Tennessee's defense is not the type of shutdown defense to get after. If you flipped, obviously, defenses on both sides would be a completely different scenario. But I just think he's going to be able to run around, make just enough plays to pull this football game out. And crazy as it sounds, Gabe, I'm actually leaning Seattle in this one. Amazing.
Yeah, see, I sold you on this. I sold you on this one.
Yeah, yep. I would be leaning Seattle here.
I should get into real estate. I should get into real estate. Okay, this next one. All right, I'm sure I should get ready as people in the chat are going to come at me here, no doubt. They're going to come at me here, no doubt. But I'm obviously not alone on this one because earlier in the week, the Cincinnati Bengals were getting 9 points. It's all the way down to 7 right now, Donnie. Yeah. Green Bay Packers -7, over under 48. This is the definition of a wounded animal. Cincinnati Bengals fire their offensive coordinator. They've had a prolonged period of time to prepare for this football game after the Thursday night debacle last Thursday against the Houston Texans. A.J. Green. I was trying to find an A.J. Green prop, and the book I was betting props at didn't have a Green prop up. But A.J. Green's going to touch the ball about 13, 14 times in this football game. As long as Andy Dalton doesn't fucking piss on himself, which he always does, I think the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm going bold here, I'm calling it an outright victory, Donnie. Money line.
Now that's impressive.
Money line.
That's impressive. I heard you talking about this game earlier in the week.
And I didn't
you definitely beat the line.
Yeah, I know. We're not getting line movement, and obviously I'm not the only one that likes this. If it went down from 9, 9.5, all the way down to an even 7 right now, listen, take the points and put a little sprinkle on the money line. Cincinnati's going to give these guys all they can fucking handle. Defensively, they match up very well with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is 0-2 in his career against Marvin Lewis. The only team in the NFL he's never beaten is the Cincinnati Bengals. And he was asked about it, and you figure, he would say, well, it's just a random thing. And he actually said, he admitted it. He goes, they always play good defense, and he goes, they've confused me. And he goes, they're very well prepared all the time on defense. And if you look, Mike Zimmer used to be there, and the Vikings fucking beat the Packers too. Zimmer's had success. So there's a little bit of a game plan there. They're banged up right now. I guess Beluga is playing. Let me do a double check here. Beluga,
he's supposed to be playing, but injured. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Randall Cobb is out. I'm telling you, you got 10 days here. Cincinnati aren't a terrible football team. We're not talking about the fucking Cleveland Browns or the Colts here with the Bengals. They've got talent on both sides of the football. They just have a fucking quarterback that's got the yips like Chuck Knobloch throwing a ball, man, into the stands all the time. Cincinnati are a physical football team. They're not going to get run off the field here. It's one thing to lay points with the Bengals. It's another thing where we're getting a full touchdown and convert with them. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. They take this game down the wire. I think the Bengals win this game 27-24 in a late field goal. Major upset special. Survivor fucking shakeup. The tribe has spoken. You've been kicked off the island. Give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game because when Green Bay is not healthy and full go, they tend to struggle. I can make a case for you as well, Gabe, with Cincinnati. Obviously, I always like coming off the bye week, shaking up, shuffling chairs on the Titanic. We have one more game to make it happen. We're going into Green Bay. Nobody thinks we're going to win the football game. And Green Bay, again, is a banged-up team. If we look at Randall Cobb's not supposed to play in this football game. Jordy Nelson does have the quad. We've seen it many times. Hey, I'm good to go. All of a sudden, Gabe, first quarter runs a slant pass, tries to turn it on. The quad goes. Now he's out of the football game. Already banged out on the offensive line. Bakhtiari doesn't look like he's going to go today. You brought up Brian Bulaga. Looks like he's going to go, but his ankle is already injured. So, I mean, he's only a play away from being nicked up. One of the bigger injuries in this game, though, Gabe, is Mike Daniels, the defensive tackle, who's played very well up to this point, is out. That's the one area that you're going to want to try to exploit Green Bay. You don't want Clay Matthews coming hard off that edge. You want him playing the run. You have 3 capable running backs. How many times we say this, Gabe? You have 3 capable running backs in Cincinnati. It's okay to run the football and see where you get. First down, run it so you can set up 2nd and 6. You don't have to throw the ball all over the yard with Andy Dalton. I know we want to get the ball to A.J. Green, but what's wrong with a 3rd and 3 or a 2nd and 3? You run a play action pass where he's going to be able to eat up that Green Bay secondary. If you can just come out and establish the run against the Green Bay Packers, you'll give yourself a chance. If Andy Dalton's out here, Gabe, throwing 18 to 19 times in the first half alone, it'll be a long day. But if they can somehow, and I'm guessing that's why they have a new offensive coordinator. They say, look, we have good running backs, and let's feed in A.J. Green the ball off play action. Let's hit him on some deep shots and try that. I agree, Gabe. I think if I'm going to take a play in this game, give me the road team here, Cincinnati, because, again, it's 7 points, not asking them to win the football game, a little bit more rested, less banged up, so to speak, than the Green Bay Packers are. I can see your point of view here. Yeah,
the Cincinnati Bengals as well come in with some nice numbers. Marvin Lewis, 17-3-2 against the spread. As an underdog versus NFC teams, that's motherfucking money. 17-3-2, including 10-0-1 against the spread when his team has less winning percentage of less than 400. They're a wounded animal coming in here. You raise a good point, though. It'd be nice if Joe Mixon could pop a big one. If they could get some production and they didn't have to put this game on Andy Dalton throwing the football so much, because if Dalton isn't, if he isn't forced to make plays, he can make plays. It's a great point. I'm telling you, Cincinnati's a very physical football team. I think they're going to punch Green Bay in the mouth. Green Bay's going to get all they can handle. They might win this game, Green Bay, but I like the points a lot. I like the points a lot, and I'll be clicking this football game in a couple of hours. All right, so leads us into the Kansas City Chiefs and the L.A. Chargers. Fuck, if we thought last week felt like a neutral game or a Dolphins game, Chief fans are going to take it over. I was reading the Kansas City newspapers. There's literally 10,000 of them going to the game, if not more.
Gabe, by the way, I'm just getting these updates here, watching live. I mean, obviously the big news of the day is they're going live to just about every single national anthem. So the Fox crew is showing the Eagles when they're about to bring the big American flag out in the field. And it says, usually they get you ready for kickoff. It says national anthem coming up next. That's the tagline there.
Yeah, now they're using it for ratings, Donnie. It's a fucking shit.
It's so fun. I mean, everybody wants to use it to their advantage. As soon as the president says something, Fox ratings goes up. CNN loves it. They pump it. Now the NFL, which you never, ever, ever see it. Now they're like, we got to take you live to the stadium to see the national anthem. It's amazing, man. It is.
Yeah, let's go to something that nobody's talked about for the last 50 years in football games until one guy took a fucking knee once. And like you said, now let's see what everyone's doing. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of
who's going to have a shaved head or who's going to have a sign out? I mean, it's amazing. It's funny because, and they even make it a point up, Gabe, like Al Michaels, whoever's doing the game, to say, as soon as the anthem is done, I want to make notice, number 21, 24, 46, and 52 are taking a knee. It's so funny how it's publicized.
Meanwhile, though, the same fan, a bunch of fans that fucking bitch and they're like, these players that fucking take a knee are scumbags. Right now, during the anthem, they're drinking a beer with their dick in their hand, taking a leak before the game starts,
Checking out their cell phone, talking to the buddy next to them. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
it just gets can we just all get along and play some football?
Yeah,
but highly politicized makes it funny.
Yeah, like Rodney King. I agree with you, Donnie. Can't we just all get along? Okay, so we only got a couple of minutes left. Let's get serious here. We're going to talk about the Raiders and the Redskins game at the half. Me and Donnie are going to be back at halftime, and I'll move inside. I thought it would be a nice, bright picnic day. Didn't work out, all right?
It's nice out there, though, Gabe.
Yeah, it's not bad now, actually. The light settled in a bit, but I'll get back into Studio A. I like the Chiefs here. I hate picking on the Chargers every week because you think they're due for fucking some good luck, but ultimately, I think it's going to be like a home game for the Chiefs. Really, I think Chief fans are going to take this stadium over today. It's going to feel like a home game for the Chiefs. Chargers will hang around. I think the Chargers are good for a teaser, but I think the Chiefs win a close one. I think they probably win by 3.
I think it's going to be a typical Charger game. Yep, your typical Charger game. It's going to be close in the fourth quarter because, again, Kansas City's not built to blow you out, and the Chargers aren't built to run up and down the field. So possessions are going to be limited in this one. I could see it the same way. The young kid Koo is going to be out there again, Gabe, with the game on the line at some point in the fourth quarter. Can he make it or miss it? That's what I'm really seeing here.
All right, and we got the Raiders and the Redskins. We'll have a chance to talk about that game later. Raiders and Redskins, but I like the Raiders here, and the totals come down a little bit. It was getting up there to 54.5. I see 53.5 right now. I like that. Yeah. I like the Raiders in the over, but Donnie, best bets, early games. Yeah. What you got, bro?
I got 4 of them we'll lean on. I gave them out during the show here. We'll go Detroit over 49.5, Gabe. We'll go Buffalo under 40. We'll lean on the New York Jets buying the extra half point in the first half at plus 3.5. And then I'll also go Pittsburgh over 43.5. I'll lean on those 4. Went 3-0 last week on the show props. Show plays. We'll go for 4 of them this week. See if we can cash in at least a 3-1 winner here for us.
Damn right, Donnie. Great stuff. So as I mentioned, I like the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions to go over the number as well. I agree with Donnie. You prop players take over a long field goal over 44.5 yards. Bryant and Prater are both money. The game is indoors. I think the Atlanta Falcons win this football game by 6. I think we're looking at a 30-24 or so final. I'll lay the 3 with the Falcons. Call me crazy. You've called me worse. I like the Indianapolis Colts. No way the Browns win this game. They're 1-19, their last 20 on the road. Colts have more talent. Colts are going to win this football game. Jacoby Brissett, I trust. Brissett wins this football game. Denver's up to 3.5 right now, so I can't recommend that as a rock solid best bet play. But I do like the New Orleans Saints +5 here in the early game as well. As I talked about, you got a desperate football team. This game's going to come down to the wire. The Carolina Panthers, they're not a real 2-0. Their offense is putrid. And I like the Cincinnati Bengals at 4 o'clock getting the 7. As we mentioned, I'll sprinkle on a money line, but we'll break that down. Me and Donnie will be back at the half. If you guys are unaware, but I know you probably you're aware, we're back at the half. So as soon as the first game goes to the half, me and Donnie are live, and we stay on until the last game is off the board to give you the insight, picks, and odds of every motherfucking NFL game. Donnie, I'll see you at the half. May the winners be yours, bro.
Let's have fun, buddy. See you soon.